Sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing we're going to talk about today is we have TJ Miller in the news because he has been arrested. And specifically, he was arrested last night at LaGuardia Airport by the FBI and Port Authority after returning from stand-up shows in Canada. And as far as his crime, he is accused of intentionally conveying to law enforcement false information about an explosive device. We're talking about potential up to 5 years imprisonment. And as far as the situation, we'll start with TJ Miller's version of events. On March 18th, TJ Miller was on an Amtrak train from DC to Penn Station in New York City, and according to a conversation he had with an investigator after the train ride, during that train ride, there was a woman near him in first class that he noticed kept looking into her bag. She kept checking her bag without taking anything out, kept asking the first class attendant what the next stop was, and seemed to want to get off the train and leave her bag behind. TJ Miller saying that this made him believe that the bag might contain a bomb, so he called 911, told the dispatcher all of this. But either way, following this, Connecticut police end up stopping train 2256. Passengers detrained, there was a search for the alleged bomb, none was found. But that's also not surprising because TJ Miller was actually on train 2258. It's unclear if the mix-up was accidental or if TJ Miller gave the wrong train number, but eventually his train was stopped, it was checked, there was no bomb. Also, according to the press release around this, the officer involved detected slurring in Miller's voice, asked if he had consumed alcohol that day. TJ said he had 1 glass of wine that day. The officer then reportedly asked him if he had mental illness. Miller responded, no, absolutely not. And based off of that line of questioning, you most likely will not be shocked by the news that the Department of Justice does not agree with Miller's account of events. According to a stewardess in the first-class car, Miller was clearly intoxicated when he entered the car. Also, he didn't order 1 glass of wine, but multiple drinks, specifically 2 glasses of wine and 2 double scotch and sodas. Also saying Miller then got into an argument with a woman on the car, specifically saying that he engaged in, quote, hostile exchanges with a woman who was sitting in a different row from him in the first-class car, also referring to it as a screaming match. And according to the criminal complaint, accordingly, the evidence supports the conclusion that Miller, motivated by some perceived grudge against the subject female, knowingly, intentionally, and falsely made an emergency 911 call to law enforcement, accusing her of carrying a bomb, and when contacted by law enforcement while the public safety response still was ongoing, made a deliberate choice to continue conveying false information in order to maintain and enhance the believability of his initial false bomb threat. And I have to say, if this is true, I'm completely on board with the fuck you TJ Miller train. Calling it a bomb threat because he didn't like some lady? Fuck you right in your Emoji Movie shitty HBO comedy special face. Like, you've already kind of skirted past the sexual abuse allegations that came out about you, and then you're like, what else could I do? Oh, I know. Bomb threat. That would just be a garbage move from a garbage person, and I think that in the back of my head I've not wanted to believe any of the negative shit that's kind of come out about TJ Miller, because I've been a big fan since back in the day with Cloverfield. Just come on, I don't know. What are your thoughts about this? Let me know in those comments down below. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today, and today in Awesome, brought to you by ShopDeFranco.com. Shop DeFranco, of course, is the place to go to get any and all of your DeFranco gear. You can snag some best-selling new designs like the Stay Humble, Hustle Hard shirt, Boycott Everyone, Why Be Informed When You Can Use Your Feelings as Your Facts, Sports, Pretentious. Also, every now and then we launch something exclusive that's up for 1 week only, then we remove it, like the newest one, the Hot Fill. So if you want to snag that one while you can, or any of the others, go to ShopDeFranco.com or just click the link in the description down below. And the first bit of awesome today, I just have to give props to the showrunners of Westworld. Jonathan Nolan, Lisa Joy were on Reddit, they were doing an AMA, and they wrote, if you guys agree, we're going to post a video that lays out the plot and twists and turns of season 2, everything. The whole sorted thing up front, that way the members of the community here who want the season spoiled for them can watch ahead, and then protect the rest of the community and help to distinguish between what's theory and what's spoiler. Adding, it's a new age and a new world in terms of the relationship between the folks making shows and the community watching them. And trust is a big part of that. We've made our cast part of this decision and they're fully supportive. We're so excited to be in this with you guys together. So if this post reaches 1,000 upvotes, we'll deliver the goods. The story then blew up. Of course, it got the upvotes it needed, and then they released a video. And I won't ruin it for you if you are actually worried about spoilers. Do not worry. Just watch the video after you're done with today's show. Then, if you ever found yourself going, man, I wish Jason Statham was in a movie about a giant shark that he has to kill. 1, you have very specific and weird wishes, and 2, it's your lucky day. Got a trailer for the movie The Meg, which seems like fantastic absurdity. Then, for those of you needing some food porn, we got a new video from Thrillist. It's all about that Austin, Texas brisket. We also had Casey Neistat going sneaker shopping with Complex. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, dive deeper on anything we talk about today, links as always are in the description down below. Then, let's talk about the situation with Donald Trump, Michael Cohen, the FBI, Robert Mueller. So if you don't know Michael Cohen, he is one of the president's closest confidants. He was was an executive vice president of the Trump Organization. He is Donald Trump's personal lawyer. And Cohen's been in the news a lot himself recently, usually connected to one of two stories, either the Russia investigation or the payment of a porn star. That porn star, of course, specifically Stormy Daniels. He has admitted to giving her $130,000. He, of course, famously said it was his own money. Donald Trump didn't know about this. It wasn't his money. He never got paid for it. Also saying it's not what a government watchdog group said. Said it was an unreported in-kind contribution to and expenditure by Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. And that's very meaningful because that would be illegal under campaign finance law. Also, the same group filed another complaint in February over a payment to another woman who alleged she had an affair with Trump between 2006 and 2007. In 2016, ex-Playboy model Karen McDougal allegedly received $150,000 from the parent company of the National Enquirer, that being American media, and reportedly that was to, quote, buy and bury her story, which the same watchdog group argued was another illegal, quote, in-kind contribution since Cohen knew about the payment. Also, as far as the Russia investigation, reportedly he was previously in the crosshairs of special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, that both for reaching out to Vladimir Putin's spokesman during the presidential campaign to ask for assistance building a Trump tower in Moscow, and for reportedly receiving a proposal about a Russia-friendly peace proposal to end the conflict in eastern Ukraine just 1 week after Trump took office. But a big note there is that for both of these things, there have been no legal actions against Cohen. But based off of what happened yesterday, that could be changing. On Monday, the FBI executed a series of warrants at Michael Cohen's office, hotel room, and home in New York City. The raids were reportedly ordered by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. This after special counsel Robert Mueller referred the matter to the Justice Department. Also, 3 anonymous sources familiar with the investigation told the Washington Post that Cohen is under investigation for possible bank fraud, wire fraud, and campaign finance violations. And there was also reportedly a 4th source that told the Post that the investigator seized Cohen's computer, his phone, personal financial records, this including his tax returns. You also had the New York Times reporting that according to several sources, the raids were specifically about payments made to 2 women who allegedly had affairs with Trump. So that would be Stormy Daniels, Karen McDougal. We also had Michael Cohen's own attorney release a statement yesterday confirming the raids and saying, the decision by the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York to conduct their investigation using search warrants is completely inappropriate and unnecessary. It resulted in the unnecessary seizure of protected attorney-client communications between a lawyer and his clients. These government tactics are also wrong because Mr. Cohen has cooperated completely with all government entities, including providing thousands of non-privileged documents to the Congress and sitting for depositions under oath. We also saw President Trump reacting to the news of the raids on camera.
So I just heard that they broke into the office of one of my personal attorneys, good man, and it's a disgraceful situation. It's a total witch hunt. I've been saying it for a long time. I've wanted to keep it down. We've given, I believe, over 1 million pages worth of documents to the special counsel. They continue to just go forward. And I have this witch hunt constantly going on for over 12 months now. It's frankly a real disgrace. It's an attack on our country in a true sense. It's an attack on what we all stand for.
Side note, I'm cutting for time. If you want to watch the full clip, I'm linking it down below. Trump goes on to say that this is a whole new level of unfairness. Trump saying this is the most biased group that he's ever seen, saying all Democrats, some Republicans who worked for Obama, they're not looking into Hillary. He then goes after his own Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, again.
The Attorney General made a terrible mistake when he did this and when he recused himself, or he should have certainly let us know if he was going to recuse himself, and we would have put a different Attorney General in. So he made what I consider to be a very terrible mistake for the country.
We also had a reporter in the room that said, why don't you just fire Mueller? To which President Trump responded.
And many people have said, you should fire him. Again, they found nothing.
We also saw him jump on Twitter, tweeted out, attorney-client privilege is dead, then adding a total witch hunt. So here's the thing, while Trump's comments focus heavily on the alleged bias against him by investigators, officials, the case seems to be that his own appointee or appointees authorized this raid. Right, you have Donald Trump saying, people have said I should fire Mueller. But with the way things are set, Mueller would have to consult with Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein on how to move forward. This because Mueller is actually required to consult the Deputy Attorney General if he comes across information that could fall outside of the parameters of the Russia investigation. And so then most likely, FBI Director Christopher Wray, a Trump appointee, would have had to sign off on the raids. Additionally, because the seized records reportedly involve communication between Trump and Cohen, a review by a team of special agents would be required. Because according to Justice Department guidelines, while every effort should be made to avoid viewing privileged material, the search may require limited review of arguably privileged material to ascertain whether the material is covered by the warrant. Therefore, to protect the attorney-client privilege and to ensure that the investigation is not compromised by exposure to privileged material relating to the investigation or to defend strategy, a quote, privilege team should be designated consisting of agents and lawyers not involved in the underlying investigation. Because this is a very unique and special situation, those documents would be protected under attorney-client privilege. It can only be seized under special circumstances. And as far as special circumstances go, there is a crime fraud exception, which applies if, quote, the client was in the process of committing or intended to commit a crime or fraudulent act, and the client communicated with the lawyer with intent to further the crime or fraud or to cover it up. In other words, the communication itself must further or facilitate the crime. And understand, this is an aggressive move by the Justice Department. Usually they use grand juries to issue subpoenas to obtain records from people represented by lawyers. Search warrants are usually only issued when prosecutors don't trust people to preserve or turn over the records themselves. And according to New York University law professor Stephen Gillers, a search warrant for a law office is extremely rare. Lawyers are given the courtesy of producing documents in response to a subpoena or a request unless the government believes a lawyer will destroy or conceal the objects of the search. But essentially, the general belief was that Cohen is not really a trustworthy guy. Now, as far as what crimes they think Cohen may have committed, it doesn't appear to be anything with Russia. If it was Russia-related, we most likely wouldn't have seen Mueller hand this off to New York prosecutors. That said, and understand I'm jumping into speculation territory, it could still be in some way. There is a possibility that Mueller did come across information about Cohen that did not relate to Russia, but by sharing it with New York prosecutors and then all of a sudden this raid happened, if there's evidence of something with Russia, he could still then get it from the FBI. So in that way, it could actually serve Mueller, and so the raid was Mueller by proxy. But if we go with the most simple explanation of this raid, it's most likely due to bank and wire fraud. Cohen has previously said that in order for him to make the payment to Stormy Daniels, he used a home equity line of credit to finance it. He then moved the money to a shell company before transferring it to Daniels' lawyer, and banks don't normally require an explanation for why customers are using credit lines. But if Cohen was asked about the transfer because it was such a large amount of money, $130,000, and he lied, that could be considered fraud. On top of that, there's also the possible violations of election law we mentioned earlier. Also, was he lying about Trump knowing, yes or no? Did Trump or another proxy pay Cohen back either directly or with increased hours? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but that is ultimately where we are right now. That said, I do want to pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts about this? Do you agree with the president that this is a disgraceful situation, biased people overstepping, or no, this investigation is on the up and up, Mueller has done nothing wrong, everyone involved, they're just trying to get to the truth? I'd love to know what you're thinking and why in those comments down below. And then let's talk about this heartbreaking story coming out of Canada, specifically the city of Humboldt. Now, Humboldt has a tradition of fielding junior league hockey teams where they bring in players from all over. They stay with host families, but they call them billet families. The players' ages range from 16 to 21. And I mention that because on Friday night, a bus carrying Humboldt's junior hockey team, the Broncos, and staff was traveling to a playoff game. There were 29 people on board, and just after 5 p.m., they were in a crash. Reportedly, the bus was approaching an intersection going north. There was a tractor trailer approaching the intersection going west. The tractor trailer had a stop sign, the bus did not, and they collided. According to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, 15 people were dead, 14 injured. The driver of the tractor trailer was not injured. Of those killed, there were 10 players, 2 coaches, a statistician, a radio announcer, and the driver. Now, as of recording this video, the RCMP have not released details of the accident. Things like, did the tractor trailer stop at the stop sign, whether the trees created a blind spot? RCMP Assistant Commissioner Curtis Zablocki saying, the scope and complexity of this investigation means it will take some time to determine the cause of the collision and the circumstances surrounding it. And as far as the injured, as of Monday afternoon, 12 of the injured remained in the hospital, 4 in critical condition, 4 in serious condition, and 4 in stable condition. There was also some confusion with this situation. On Sunday, the RCMP released the names of those that died in the crash, but on Monday we got news that there was actually a mistake. Initially, authorities had identified Xavier LaBelle as one of the deceased, but they later said that it was actually the body of Parker Tobin, who had been misidentified as LaBelle.
Late last night, we were made aware of an error that had occurred in the identification of 2 of the individuals. As you will have seen in a news release this morning, Xavier LaBelle, who had previously been confirmed deceased, is not deceased. He is alive. And unfortunately, that means that Parker Tobin has been confirmed to be deceased. A lot of these boys looked alike. They had the blonde hair that was supportive of their team for their playoff run. They're very similar builds. They're all very similar ages, and they're very athletic, of course, as they are junior A hockey players. The new information came to light last night that raised questions with the healthcare professionals. In turn, they were able to positively identify Xavier LaBelle as Xavier LaBelle. who, of course, we had previously thought was Parker Tobin.
And following that, the two families released a joint statement saying that they are grieving together, and adding they hope the focus will remain on those grieving and those recovering, not the confusion and an unimaginable tragedy. And as far as the community reaction to this horrible tragedy, it has been utter heartbreak and an outpouring of love to the victims. On Saturday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau released a statement saying, "We are heartbroken knowing many of those we lost had their entire lives in front of them. We grieve with those facing news no parent or family should ever have to face." People also sending their love and support with hashtags like Humboldt Strong, Sticks Out for Humboldt. Also on Sunday night, there was a vigil at the Humboldt Hockey Arena, which Trudeau attended. We saw NHL players showing their support by wearing jerseys with the Broncos' name on them. On Monday night, we saw Niagara Falls turn green and gold in support of the residents of Humboldt. We also saw a GoFundMe launch to help support the players and their families. That GoFundMe specifically saying the money will go directly to families to help with any expenses incurred. And as of recording this video, people did not just send their condolences. The GoFundMe has raised over $7.2 million. Also, if you'd like to put your dollars towards this, I'll include a link down below. And as of right now, with an investigation still going, that is where we are. And so the way I want to end this story is just to send my love and my thoughts to everyone affected here. I know it's just words in a situation that is unimaginably devastating. And everyone else, I think it's just one of those stories to remind yourself that whoever you have in your life that you love and you haven't said it, let them know while you can, hold them close while you can, because ultimately one day, for one reason or another, you won't be able to. And that's where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you liked this video, like what I'm trying to do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell to turn on notifications. That way you don't miss these daily videos, which actually, if you didn't catch yesterday's Philip DeFranco show, which is not shocking because we really weren't hitting recommended or anything because we were talking about some serious things. But if you want to watch yesterday's show, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you're in the mood for something lighter, you can watch a brand new behind the scenes vlog, click or tap right there. But that said, of course, as always, my name is Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.